Welcome everyone to the IELCE Civics Network meeting. I'm Lori Howard, your facilitator today. Glad to have you here. It is May 25th, 2022, and we're excited to be meeting with you for the IELCE Civics Network. So this is our agenda. We're going to have just a brief CDE update. We're going to talk about civic participation and IELCE items, a little bit about the IELCE Civics Exchange, a little bit about citizenship preparation, and then we're lucky today to have two wonderful practitioners with us today. Diana Batista from Conejo Valley Adult School, who's going to talk about their Hyflex caregiver training. And we have Alisa Takeuchi from Garden Grove Adult School, and she's going to tell us how she got certified to be a CTE teacher. So that's really exciting today. We're going to learn a lot. So just briefly, I just want to remind you again, CDE keeps reminding us, and we want to keep reminding you that the WIOA Title II RFA request for application will be posted on August 1st. Each month we get the details a little bit more solidified. So you should, Carolyn Zachary suggests that you begin gathering your materials now so you'll be ready for that application. And the demonstrated effectiveness portal will be posted September 1st, and then you can submit it. And you want to show how you've effectively served students. This grant is for 23-24, so next year, but you have to apply for it now. So you'll be finishing up what you're doing this year until during 22-23, and then that grant will start 22-23, and that grant will start July 1 of 23. It was suggested that I add to tell you that you can select data from the past 3 years to demonstrate your effectiveness. So be gathering materials to do that now, and that will be due mid-September. And that's why Carolyn suggested that you start gathering the materials now, so that when you look at what is required on August 1st, you'll have a head start. The RFA opens November 1st, 2022, for those who have notified that they passed the demonstrated effectiveness. So you won't go on to apply unless you've demonstrated your effectiveness or your agency's effectiveness. Then the RFA application will be due December 22. They want it to be before the holidays so that you'll be able to enjoy your holidays. And they're hoping that you will be applying for a 4-year contract this year instead of 3-year, just to take away the pressure of a 3-year contract. Okay, the COAAPS submission deadline has passed. That was April 30th. And between April 30th and June 30th is when CASA staff look over the COAAPS, make sure everything's in good condition, and then we begin to make them live on the website. We'll begin doing that after this weekend holiday. And you'll be able to start viewing the COAAPS that can be selected as of July 1. We don't anticipate any substantive changes. I got a little comment about a rubric on for 53.2, I think it was, and so I'll be looking at that, but that only affects 1 or 2 agencies, so no worries. But you will be able to start viewing them starting in June. And then July 1, the selection process opens, and at the June meeting, I'll be talking to you about that. We want to tell you that our social justice resource sheet is complete. It turned out to be about 10 pages, so we don't want to just put it out in print. We're looking for a way to get it to you in a more organized form. So it is complete at this point. But hopefully we're going to get it to you by July 1 in a format that can be most easily used. And really important for those of you who are teaching COAAP 11 or 53, or actually any COAAP, to be considering the social justice as an area for you to understand better, for you to self-assess, for you to think about your students and assessment of their views, et cetera. So we hope we're going to be looking at this, and we are giving a presentation at CASA SSI, and it's virtual. So if you're coming virtually or in person to the CASA SSI, it's happening Wednesday, June 15th from 10:45 to 12:15. And I'm pretty sure that it will be posted on the COSAS website at some future time. So you'll be able to participate later in that. So we're really excited. COSAS, CAPE, and CalPro staff collaborated on this. Really important resources for working with any of our students, ESL, ABE, ASE, important to be considering diversity, equity, inclusion, social justice in general. Okay. So just reminding you that each year, every agency, WIOA 2 agency needs to offer a student needs assessment, and you should use that to inform your selection of COAAPS. If you're a 231 funded agency, then you just need to do a general needs assessment. But if you're a 243 agency, you should be assessing the training needs of your students, seeing what kind of training you could offer, and then asking them which of those would they like to participate in. Once you complete the needs assessment, and there's a link here to a document that can tell you more about it, then you need to fill out the needs assessment summary form and keep it on file electronically or in paper at your agency. So if you have an FPM or other visit by your CDE consultants, they might be asking for that form. And as I said, you'll use the results of your needs assessment to inform your COAAPS selection. You can do this any time of the year. We used to suggest that agencies do it in spring, because then they would do curriculum development during the summer and then have the new COAAPS for the fall. But we'll leave that up to you, whatever is best for your agency, as long as it informs the selection of COAAPS. I want to start talking a little bit just about the IELCE report review. Those of you who are 243 agencies or who plan to become 243 agencies when you apply for this new grant, your reports are being reviewed. Those of you who submitted on April 30th or by April 30th, your reports are being reviewed by COSAS and CDE as a team. And we just want you to know that if you receive contact from a program specialist, it may not be the one that you usually work with who is doing your review, but that this is a time for continuous improvement. This is really one of the few times we get to talk to you about your programs and help you continuously improve. So if you get a letter that there's some minor or major adjustments, don't worry. The CDE consultant and COSAS program specialists are here to help you. Not only to make your report right, but to make your program better, to help your students, your English learners, participate in training in the most successful way possible. So if you get comment from us, please don't worry about it. We're here to help you. And I just want to let you know that by this Friday, you should have received, or your agency should receive, a first review, or at least a contact, because for some of you, we have just written an email that's asking you for some changes before we actually do the review. But if you haven't heard by this Friday from a program specialist, then please contact your regular program specialist, and they'll contact your reviewer and see what the scoop is. But if you submitted by April 30th, then you should be receiving at least some kind of contact by this Friday. And just want to let you know, we've already, in 3 weeks since April 30th, we've already rated adequate 75 out of the 119 agencies who submitted reports. So we're pretty excited about that, to in 3 weeks have completed that many reviews. Thank you to all of our wonderful program specialists and CDE consultants who've made that happen. So we're excited. And there are 44 left, and those are in the process. Either it's possible that some of them decided not to report this year or to give up their funding, but most of them are being worked on now, again, for the aim of continuous improvement. Regarding IELCE, since we're on that topic, I just wanted to mention 2 resources to you. I got this information a little while ago, and I didn't offer it, so I thought I would do it today. That USA Learns has a skills for nursing assistant course, and you can go to usalearns.org, and in their instructional support section, they give you an overview of this nursing assistant course. My understanding that USA Learns is totally free. It's a grant from a governmental agency, I think, that they use to put that. There's a lot of other great materials there too, but I just wanted to announce this nursing assistant course. And also to let you know that two of our wonderful California practitioners, Donna Price and Rana Meiji, wrote an article for the COAAPS Journal, I think last winter, but they let us know that it's now available for free. You used to have to buy the journal, but now it's available for free at this link. And remember, soft skills are crucially important to every kind of training. So if you were teaching COAAP 37 or 52, both of which deal with soft skills, you would be helping really any kind of training for students to communicate with their coworkers, with their supervisors, to communicate with the public if they need to. So soft skills are really an important thing. I suggest you look at 37 and 52 if your students want to get a job. If they put employment as one of their goals, you might want to select this for them. They may not realize that this is an important part of employment. So if you've been doing 33 over and over again because they selected employment, you could adjust to this crucial aspect of employment, which is soft skills. So I highly recommend that and reading this great article by our two wonderful California practitioners. Okay, we want to talk about the IELTS Civics Instructional Materials Exchange once again, because it's going great, and we just wanted to report that to you. Remember that it's a joint project of CASAS and OTAN, funded by our wonderful California Department of Education, Adult Education Office. You can access the materials at elcivics.otan.us. And just so you know, there are going to be two presentations at CASA Summer Institute. The virtual one happens on June 15th at 10:45, and the in-person one on June 16th at 11:15. And I think they're 90-minute presentations, both of them. So you have two opportunities to learn and experience. And Margaret says, thank you, and a poster session. So if you're in person on Thursday morning at 7:30, I will be there to talk about the IELTS Civics Instructional Materials Exchange with you and give you a little tour. That's our situation. And we want to tell you a little bit more. And that is just to show you our beautiful IELTS Civics Exchange. The wonderful technical people at OTAN designed this for us, so it would be very easy to use and colorful. You just open up the page and you can search by COAAP number or by keyword employment, for example. You can search by level, or you can just go right here to the different topic areas and see what's there. This is an old picture, so it doesn't show too many active materials, but these are the active materials. We have 6 different COAAPs and materials related to them. About 121 agencies have selected these COAAPs, one or more of these COAAPs, and so they can use these materials to help them with their instruction. So even if you have your own materials for these topics, you might want to take a look. Maybe something has been updated that you haven't had the opportunity to update and you'd like to see what's there. We have had a lot of action on the site, 264 downloads of materials between March and April. And then another 260 downloads between April 25th and yesterday, we got this data. And so for a total of 524 downloads, we saw that the majority of them are coming from California. So all of the California agencies are downloading these materials, which is great. But we are getting a few from a few other countries. I remember Brazil was one of them, and can't remember the others. And since November, we've had almost 2,000 site visits. So people have been looking at it, even if they haven't downloaded the materials. And I see I have a big comment here. Let's see who that is, Marin. And Marin, thank you so much for being one of our great participants and adding to this. And Marin says, sometimes it's hard to connect with other agencies on IELTS Civics objective development. Oh, that's right, Marin, I'm so glad you're bringing this up. Why don't you unmute yourself and talk, because you had wanted to talk about this. So would you unmute yourself?
Thank you, Lori. Can you hear me
sure.
okay?
Yes, go ahead.
It's just, my question is, for example, in our agency, the EL Civics Needs Assessment results came back, and the top choice was business. 3.2 is what I picked out. It felt like a good match, but it's only intermediate, low through advanced. And since it's the top choice of all students, because we actually ask beginning lit all the way through advanced students what they'd like. I was hoping that I could connect with other agencies if anyone else were interested in working on beginning low, beginning high tasks, and kind of add to this 3.2. But the bigger question too is, we have the EL Civics Exchange for already, finished products kind of, but do we have a place where we can kind of collaborate, not like a blog, or like, I'm not really sure what kind of platform it would be, but some place where we can reach out and work together on new materials?
Yeah, we haven't, done that before. I mean, I have to ask whether that is a possibility of our website. I sort of think it isn't, because it would have to be monitored. But if anybody would like to share their information, and Maren, if you would like to put your email address there and people would contact you, or if you want to contact me at lbhoward@casas.org, and I can put you in touch. Also, as you develop these materials, Maren, I hope you're going to develop them accessibly and then post them on the website. So that would be so great. And it would be so great.
We'll try.
And it would be great if you would collaborate with others, certainly. But let me put that down as a note and talk about whether that can happen. And Margaret and Portia, do you have any ideas about that, whether that could be a possibility? I know monitoring it is a difficulty, so I don't think it could be part of the CASAS website, but any other ideas?
But we might be able to, for example, in my reviews, I know of a program that has a business program that they might be interested in developing something together. And so we could maybe help them make some connections through what we know.
Right. And maybe even, start a Google Doc where you guys could communicate on a Google Doc. That's easy enough. That'd be great. Do you remember the agency, or can you share that with Maren if you have it? Is anybody here that wants to collaborate with Maren on business? I know, I'm pretty sure is that entrepreneurship is what you're thinking about, Maren?
Yeah, the 3.2. We were actually going to make an IET
Right.
pathway
Right.
with this one, but then coincidentally, it was the top choice of our ESL population.
That's great. That's great. Well, we're happy the CASAS team would be happy to help you write your COAAP and help you in developing these materials. Margaret, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a word of warning. Anything you put in Google does not translate well into Word documents or PowerPoint, because 508 compliance is not their thing.
So I'm sorry, and I just meant it as more of a place to start
Yes.
brainstorming, but thank you for saying that. We don't want to develop in Google. And the reason I'm looking through my notes, because I had a question I wanted to ask you related to this, and I can't remember what it was. I hope it'll come to me before we're done here, because I did want to ask you something.
It is a great idea.
But it is a great idea. So, so please email me and I'll pass it along to Maren. I just want to say Livermore also has been doing 3.2. Oh, why don't we look the other place, Maren, and let everybody should know this. Let me see what we can do is to see who else is doing 3.2 or 3 in general. And we can go to this last items, COAAPS selected by California agencies. And then we can put the number of agencies that have selected a pre-approved COAAP, and we can scroll down. Whoops, sorry, it's 3, I forgot. 3.2, so there's 5 agencies. Now we don't have phone numbers here, but you can let me know and I can get it to you. I would say Glendale is a good person to contact, Maren. Deborah Robelia has presented in the past about her projects. These would all be good choices. So if you'd like that information, I can make a connection and ask if they want to participate. Would that be a good thing for you?
That would be
chat.
great. Yeah, sometimes there isn't the contact information.
Right,
You don't
the
know
contact
who the
info-
lead teacher, EL Civics
Right.
teacher, or, and you kind of, it took me a long time to hunt down and find.
So I can do
different-
that for you, and I can make the contact, just not to, we don't have the contact information here just to protect people's privacy, but I can make the first contact. So, but I'm going to put this, just so you know, the schools, I put it here, and I'll make the first contact about that. And this, and I know Livermore too, although I guess they haven't chosen this. They might be doing it, whether or not. Anywhere else that is doing entrepreneurship or business?
Cerritos College has 2 small business entrepreneurship programs with different focuses. I remember one, it has a social media for marketing focus. And then there was a second one. And also San Diego City College has a small business program. And I don't know if they're using 3.2, but they have the
Okay.
programs.
Okay, great. So even though they didn't choose this, they still might be wanting to collaborate on a co-op, you know.
And I think North
Community
Orange
College-
is going to start an entrepreneurship this new year.
Orange. Okay, great. Anybody else? Portia, could you put that in, all that in the chat so I don't lose it? And then I'll try to connect everybody, if you wouldn't mind, those 3 agencies. San Diego
Do
City
that.
College, North Orange, and I can't remember the third one you mentioned. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Maren. This is a great place to be bringing anything like that up that you're interested in. Maybe we could, Diana says, maybe we could have a Zoom collaboration time. Sure, if you want to do that, if you want to set that up, Maren, and I'll get you these contacts and then invite me too, so I can be helpful. That'd be great. Canvas course hosted by, okay, well, there's some ideas. A Canvas course. So the problem with Canvas, the great thing is that it wouldn't go to the EL Civics Exchange, but it would be great anyways. So Diana says, ask Steve Thompson because Lompoc did something similar. So great, I'll use that. We need a sandbox. Yeah, exactly. Okay. And yes, we want to be part of development of new COAAPS also. July and August are good times for CASA staff to be doing that. So if you're interested in developing a new COAAP or writing some materials for the EL Civics Exchange, please contact us and we will be ready to help you. We want to say that these are the most used COAAPs, or the 7 most used. So if you could develop in this area, that would be best. But again, anything you develop will be great, but we'd like to impact the most agencies. As you saw before, with 6 COAAPs, we impact 121 agencies. So that's really great. So we'd like to make the most impact, and that's why we're suggesting these. But if you want to do anything else, that's also good too. And this is an opportunity to share your great materials with your colleagues and you know, become well known as a great curriculum developer. Okay. We need you. Oh, please look at what's already online because that's been approved. So if you're thinking of developing something, take a look at those 6 materials or a couple of them just to see what is approvable and acceptable. There is a rubric on the website also that you should look at to make sure that you have all the components of what's necessary and what would be approved. Remember that the materials have to be accessible. And then again, we're happy to help you, especially in July and August. We have more time, but anytime during the year. And then if you wish to submit your materials, go ahead and submit them at elcivics.oten.us. Although I would suggest that you run them by one of the program specialists, especially Portia, Margaret, and I are on EL Civics Exchange team. And so if you submit them to us first, we can help you develop them before you put them into the system. It's sometimes harder once they're in the system to revise, etc. Just to remind you that Penny Pearson and David Espinosa at OTAN developed that tip sheet and accessibility guide, and that's available to you at this link. I sent it all to you last month, I think, but you can access it at this link. Any other comments or questions about the EL Civics Exchange?
One other thought, Lori and
Yes.
group, if we were to get that group together and do, you know, almost like a PLC on it, then maybe we could have some guidance. Like if we have some materials that we'd like to submit, but we're not quite there on the accessibility guide. Maybe we could help each other with that as well and get more items submitted.
Great, and we'd love
I
to
think
help you
that's
with that
something,
too. So
yeah.
why don't we see if this is a good topic, business, let's start with that this summer, and we can be doing, meetings, etc. So, we did do that with the social justice. We've done it in the past with other COAAPS, and the COAAPS 50, what were they, 49 to 53, we had a committee. So, I mean, would that is something that CASAS could do, is to foment a group. Should I put that together starting July 1 to Maren, is that a good time for you in July, or is that not too late for you in the year?
I would say July 5th, not July 1.
Yeah, of course, but in
Just
July.
give us the holiday weekend.
Okay, so would you like me to set up a meeting where we could all brainstorm this?
So we have, it's in the beginning of July.
Yeah, sometime in July, yeah.
I'm going to go on vacation, but I won't leave until the 11th.
Okay, well, let's try to have a first meeting around there before the 11th and see what we can do. That'd be great. Okay,
Wonderful.
I'll set that up and
Thanks.
I'll invite all these people to it, and we'll see what we can put together.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thanks for mentioning it. We are here to help. Now we're to citizenship preparation. So Portia, would you like to comment on this slide?
Sure. So the CIT certification training and both certification and recertification courses closed on April 30th. We're just wrapping up a few of the late finishers for CIT. And so if you haven't heard from us yet, the materials are being evaluated and you'll get an email about that. CIT certification reopens July 1st. So if you have somebody who needs to certify, that's when they can begin. Recertification will begin early January. And if you need to recertify, you will receive an email from CASAS telling you that it's time to sign up for that. And we want to thank you all for your cooperation in getting your materials in and completing the courses in a timely manner. It was really helpful. And we've got lots of new certifiers.
That's great. Okay, just a few more things before we get to our great presenters. So just reminding you that CASAS Summer Institute is coming up from June 13th to the 16th. If you need more information, here's the link, and it is both virtual and in person. So we'd love to see you either way, virtually or in person. Our next meeting is going to be June 29th. I haven't yet put it up on the schedule, but I will this week, so you can start registering for it. And then tentatively, we've scheduled August 24th. I haven't heard anything negative from anyone about that. If you would like to share something or present something at any of these meetings, please let me know and we'll get you scheduled. But right now, I'd like to go to Diana Batista from Conejo Valley Adult School, who's going to tell us about her Hyflex caregiver training. Thank you, Diana, for being on with us today.
I also have a teacher who just joined us, Christiane Galvo, and
Okay.
she has been working she's the ESL teacher that's been working with the CTE teacher. Am I able to share my screen, Lori?
Yeah,
Can you-
let me just give you co-host things here. And yes, I will stop sharing and you go ahead and share.
Thank you. And while I'm doing that, we really just got started this year. I think I'm gonna talk about that a little bit. So we're still working out the little bumps and bruises and whatnot. So don't hesitate if you have some questions, I don't mind. Or suggestions, I should say, questions or suggestions. So this is a little bit of the agenda. Lori asked me to see if we could talk about some of these things, and I'm not going to read all the slides to you. These are the typical things that we talk about when we're talking about career pathways and integrated education training programs. And the hardest part for us is always getting the teacher time together and working on that single set of objectives and then developing the assessment. But I think we worked it out pretty well. So you can see I'm going to show about our pathway, the COAAP content, some of our successes, and so forth. So in our medical pathway, we're using an alternate teaching model, and we actually started with 3 teachers total. And then we're hoping to expand the pathway that could include other courses. And currently, the medical coordinator And my lead English as a second language instructor and myself are attending the Integrated Education Training Implementation Clinic through CalPro. So each session that we have, I'm not sure if some people here maybe have already completed that, but each session that we attend, they give us new information and some homework assignments. So we're really coming up with good ideas of how to improve our program. And so these are the medical courses that we currently have. And we're looking at examining each one of them to see how we can expand our medical pathway to include English language learners in these other areas. So we did just start towards the end of April, a physical therapy aid course as well. And in the physical therapy aid course, that is the person who would be the assistant to the physical therapist. And so I can talk a little bit more about that as we get through the slides. We're looking at possibly breaking down a medical terminology course, maybe doing it, it was suggested that we try to do it as medical terminology A and medical terminology B, instead of it being a 1 semester class, let it be 2 semesters, 1 year, to kind of go through the language process nice and slow, because there's a lot of difficult words to pronounce, even for English speakers. So recruitment, what we did was we had the ESL teachers talk a little bit about that we were going to expand, and I went to the ESL classes saying that we were going to expand opportunities for them so that they would be able to learn new skills while they were currently learning their language skills. And then we had the caregiver teacher come to the class and talk a little bit about what they would learn. And this is the flyer that we used. So we posted on the wall after we did the presentation. And this showed them a long list of different things that they would be learning if they signed up for the caregiver class. This class is also advertised on the website, and it's open to all students, but we also target English as a second language learners. So the COAAP that we selected is 71.3, and that's the one that says in language and literacy to get the skills necessary to effectively participate in workforce training and work as a healthcare worker. And you can see there, then it has very generic terms there, describing symptoms of an illness, performing actions and responding to a supervisor's questions, completing a health history form, and then also scheduling an appointment. So the assessment tasks are a little bit more specific, and I could let Christiane talk a little bit about the assessment. Christiane, if you want to unmute and talk about how you actually deliver the assessment.
All right, so first of all, thank you for the opportunity, and good afternoon to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to share. So yeah, so Jennifer and Jennifer is the caregiver teacher, caregiver instructor, and I am the ESL teacher. So we got together and we took a look at all the documents that we had available for task 71.3. And so we, based on that document, we created the assessments, and the assessment is divided into 3 tasks. So mainly task 1 is a role play where the students interact with the teacher, but the student is the caregiver, and the teacher is the patient or the assistant, and the teacher calls the doctor to make an appointment. So the student answers the call. So it's an oral communication. It's for developing oral communication skills. Task 2 is mainly a reading and writing activity where the students have to read this health history form and answer questions based on the paragraph that they have. And this is an opportunity for them to not only practice the language, but also to interact with each other. So we usually do the practice, the role plays, the students have the opportunity to interact with the teacher and also with one another in the classroom. And then task 3, the students take directions from a healthcare supervisor, and they role play with the teacher. And in that case, it's me, the teacher, the ESL teacher. So they role play with the teacher or with Jennifer, the caregiver instructor. So they role play with us only, and it's mainly focused on oral communication too. So they they can create something based on what they see, or they can use the prompts that we give them to give to make the questions. And this is a really good opportunity for them to check what they have learned in caregiver classes and also to practice their English. And they are usually students who are at level 4 undergoing or advanced students. So they usually do really well. They like this interaction, and it's also fun having this opportunity. It's not only an assessment, we take as a learning opportunity for everybody. So,
Thank you.
you're
I
welcome.
think the next slide might be yours. I'm not sure. Let's see. Oh, no. So another thing, so we ran a short class from October till December in last semester. And then we did a survey with the students so that we're planning what we could do in spring and then also in summer. And so we were asking the students if they could attend day or night. Would they attend in summer, fall, or spring? Would they be willing to attend an accelerated course, which is one of the things that we did, 4 days a week, up to 3 hours a day? Or do they prefer the longer 8 to 10 hour weeks with 3-hour class twice a week? And we've run them both ways in spring. And the students still have to continue, as you all know, in their English as a second language class. And then we did the add-on of the language support class. So when we were getting started, I met with Christiane and we reviewed the COAAPS, and we talked about some of the things that I know that the caregiver course covered. I think we previewed the textbook, and then we set up a meeting with the CTE instructor, and I met with the medical coordinator. We looked at the course outline, we looked at some of the things in the textbook, and Christiane and Jennifer were able to review the PowerPoints that Jennifer planned to use. And then Christiane actually observed some of Jennifer's teaching. Did you want to talk a little more about that?
Yes. So it was really important for me to observe her classes, because then I knew how she was approaching, how she was teaching the students, especially the vocabulary. Because since I'm a language teacher, but I'm not a technical instructor, was really important for me to have that opportunity. So I could take a look at her material, and I also prepared material based on what she had. And also I always use what the students bring. So their questions, whatever they have, they bring with them to the class. So it was great because she shared with me the PowerPoint, all the lessons she would be teaching. And that way I could outline what I would be doing during the semester.
And so for this single set of learning objectives, I should say that the caregiver teacher had a textbook, and then we also used Burlington English. And so this is just an example. I'm not going to read the slide to you, but you can see the big part is that we were teaching them the appropriate vocabulary to communicate with all of the different people they would need to interact with. They would have to have the writing skills to complete medical history and medications, and also to document, properly take vital signs, and then also document the patient status and concerns. And that's where that assessment piece where they got to interact with the supervisor was really useful, because they would tell the supervisor, you know, oh, the patient didn't take their medication or something. And then the supervisor would ask them some kind of a follow-up, clarifying question, and they had to actually have like 4 interactions. So it was really authentic to the workplace. Okay, and then Christiane put together some thoughts about participating in this program.
Yeah, so Jennifer and I started working in October, and Julie was also teaching some of the students, right? We had 2 groups for ESL for caregivers. And so we started in October 2021, and we're still working together. And the collaboration has worked really well. We usually get together to plan, to share materials, and the assessment we do together. So that way we help each other with the preparation, also making sure that the students are prepared in both courses in English, in ESL and her caregiver in class. So as I said before, Jennifer, the caregiver instructor, she shared her PowerPoint presentation with me, which was fundamental. So I had an idea of what she was teaching during the entire semester. So as for the ESL classes, I meet with the students once a week, and I use Burlington. So I use Burlington as a guide because I also like the role play and the vocabulary. But the thing about the most important thing is that it's English for specific careers, and the course really matched what we really we wanted to prepare the students for the assessments too. Also, the teacher I help them with pronunciation of technical words and expressions, and any other vocabulary that they bring, and I use the vocabulary part of Burlington as we do games, we play memory games. And the only thing that the students have been complaining, and I also don't like much about Burlington, is the lack of visual resources. So we don't have, for the vocabulary, there is the translation, but there is no definition for the words. So, and also we need to find more material, like we're planning on working together in the future. Jennifer and I, we want to prepare some flashcards, glossaries, dictionaries, things like, find some dictionaries, not prepare the dictionaries, but find some dictionaries to work. And so we want to prepare a more visual material where the students can have copies or they can access somewhere. And we thought about building a Canvas page where the students will have access to the flashcards. And also I was thinking this morning about creating some Kahoot and bring something more collaborative to the class. So this is really great. I really like working with the caregiver instructor because it's a learning process all the time. And also we see the students' improvement and how they participate in both classes. And I really like this interdisciplinary part of our work.
Thank you. There have been a couple of questions in the chat about the textbook. So the textbook that we were using, I don't have the exact title, but I'll look for it and get it to Lori. It was specific to caregiver, which is a little bit different than what Lori was talking about earlier with USA Learns, which is more of a nursing assistant, because there's difference between what you can do as a caregiver and so forth. And I see Sigrid's comment about Quizlet. Okay, we'll take a look at that. But I recently found at the COAAPS conference, Pearson has a new series that I'm looking into, and I don't remember the exact title of it. I lent it to the caregiver teacher. It's something career view for health occupations, and it does have some of the visual things that that Christiane was looking at. So I want to get more information about that. So that should help. So the section that Christiane was using mostly in Burlington, for those of you that use Burlington, was not under health sciences, it's under human services. And you can see there's a couple of different sections there for caregivers: applying for a job, assisted living, meeting the family, family caregiver communication, skilled nursing facilities, first aid, in-home care, and working with children with disabilities. So again, there was a lot of student lessons there that Christiane was able to build upon. And it was a lot of like role play, pronunciation, language things. So some of the challenges that we had was the time commitment that we asked the students for. At the beginning, when we were telling them that they were signing up, the one class was 4 days a week, 2.5 hours a day, in addition to a 3-hour ESL class twice a week. And everyone was so excited that they could finish and become a caregiver within 5 weeks. They really wanted to sign up. But then they started to realize how busy they were going to be. So the Hyflex option, which I know is what Lori really wanted us to emphasize, is that we gave the students the option to attend the caregiver lectures on Zoom. And many of them started that way at the beginning. But then as they saw the interactivity that was going on in the actual classroom, most of them decided to attend in person. All of the students had to attend certain Wednesdays when there were skills assessments. They had to get certified in CPR and first aid and a number of other skills for the actual caregiver certificate. But under the Zoom option, there was one parent who has 3 children, and she felt like if she could be home, even though she has someone else to help her around the house, it was easier for her to be at home attending class, which she didn't have to be present in class. We had another student who, by the time she got off of work, wouldn't be on time for class. And then, it was just easier, and she was on time and didn't miss any class time by attending those classes in Zoom. And then another student said that it was too many nights for her to be away 4 nights, while she would be 2 nights in ESL class and 2 nights in caregiver class. So when she could, she would attend in Zoom. When the students attended in Zoom, the teacher would turn the laptop to the front row, and students would rotate so that it would be different students each week interacting with the students on Zoom. So in other words, they would have a homework assignment, or they would be practicing, interacting with their supervisor, interacting with the patient's family. And this way they would interact with different people. So everyone in the class, whether they were on Zoom or if they were attending in the classroom, they still had the full experience of the class. Our future plans, there's a lot of information on the slide. Like I said, a lot of this is coming from the IET Implementation Clinic. What we really want to do before we sign students up is a recruitment orientation session to make sure they understand the time commitment and that we really mean it. You really have to attend the ESL class, the language support class, and also the caregiver class. The language support class through Burlington, you have a lot of extra time on your own where you can go in and do a lot of student activities to really bulk up those skills. And I know the students find that to be very beneficial. And Christiane has been really good about sending out lessons, because when they're in Zoom, she shared with me that they can't record their own voice because they're practicing together, like in breakout rooms or as a whole group. And then they repeat the same activity on their own in the student lessons on their own. So we want to look at some of the other academic support, make sure that we're enrolling students in the class that are serious about being able to have the skill level, whether it's language or other interest in the class, setting the actual expectations of all the learners with goal setting, talking about time management, asking them about what will they do if a barrier comes up. In other words, if their child is sick, what's their backup plan? And then also incorporate more guest speakers and workplace skills into the lessons. We may actually have to add some hours to the class to accommodate all of this too. And then ideally, we'd like to align with the college career pathway, because I'm not sure if everyone is following up on the governor's budget, but it looks like that 130 million for adult ed and the health career pathways is continuing on. Marin's asking, do we have a syllabus that plans this out for the 5 weeks that links the 3 different classes they need to take? I don't think we have a syllabus that was shared with students. The teachers kind of have a course outline, and then they've been working on putting the pieces together. But I think I'll add that to our future plans. Thanks, Marin. And then we want to find out what other support services are available in the community. Some of the students got together and were kind of studying and practicing on their own, like while they finished one class and they had to wait for the next. So we think we could incorporate some of that and give them a space where they could actually practice.
And Diana, what about job placement?
So we do have, Jennifer has connections with a lot of caregiver agencies. And so she's been able to refer our students, and I believe they've done interview practice, and then the students have been getting hired. And it is an asset to be bilingual when you're working in caregiver in our community. So some of the secrets that we learned, I think many of us here already know this, the students will work so hard to do what we'd like them to. They work really hard to achieve everything that they can. I attended the class and was asking, what some of the feedback was from the class, as well as we've done class evaluations. And they really felt like both teachers really cared about them as becoming caregivers, and kind of warned them about, you have to make sure you take care of yourself, make sure you get enough sleep. They talked about resisting the urge when the family member or whoever it is asking you to do additional things that are outside of the caregiver scope, such as heavy house cleaning. Like, gee, your patient's sleeping, that would be a good time for you to vacuum or something like that. So they were really, they felt strong about what they could say in those situations. They learned about safety, like lifting and so forth. And they were really excited that they got CPR and first aid training, and they actually got the cards that otherwise they wouldn't have had that experience. So the real reason we did this is to make sure that our ESL students feel successful and that they're learning relevant skills. Many of our students did get jobs, but I'm still telling it. But here they are at graduation. These are 5 of our classes, all different students here at our school. You can see their happy faces. They were really excited to go through this program. And I think 4 of them also signed up for physical therapy aid, as well as 12 other people. So we now have 16 people learning to assist physical therapists with client interaction. So we're really excited about that. So I have to look for the name of the textbook. I can maybe do it while Alisa's sharing her stuff, but if not, I'll get it for you later and send it to Lori to send out.
Well, thank you so very much, Diana and Christiane. It's so great, and especially hearing about the collaboration. I think that's the key here, you know, to see how well the collaboration works. And when we put in the time for the collaboration and the planning and all of that, then the program works well and the students succeed. So I really want to emphasize that as one of the keystones of IELCE in California, that really has to happen. It can't just be 2 separate classes with 2 teachers just doing their own thing. That's not what's going to help our students succeed as yours have done. So that's exciting. And we can't wait to maybe next year have a even fuller presentation from you that tells us all about what you're continuing to do. And we so appreciate you sharing with us. Did anybody have any last questions for Diana or Christiane?
And we did have 23 students that completed the full assessment for
Wow.
71.3. So that's a nice 243 bonus, right?
Yes, definitely. And mostly you got 5 students with the certificate and hopefully jobs.
Yeah, 5 classes. Yeah, great. Thank you so much, everyone.
We'll get you the name of that textbook. And I found the question that I wanted, which was, I have heard from a number of training programs that native speakers want to participate in the support classes, so that when an ESL teacher comes in to the class and talks about the vocabulary, et cetera, and works on it, that a lot of native speakers are very supportive of that. And I was wondering if any of you have had that experience. I can't remember which agencies have told me in the past that even their native speakers were feeling good about having someone come in and work on the vocabulary and other things regarding training. Does anybody have that information to share?
Lori, I just wanted to say something real quick about the USA Learns course that you were talking about earlier. So Andrea and I have been doing presentations on that, and we have learned that the native speakers are also taking that particular class, even though it's kind of geared for ESL students, but because of the content of how to speak to patients and vocabulary and things like that, a lot of native speakers are actually benefiting from that particular course as well.
Great. So yeah, so okay, that's great to hear. And are you offering that training, Alisa? You're giving that training from USA Learns?
No, we present to, at conferences and stuff about the course.
About the course. Okay, good. Well, if anybody hears that, I'd like to have some examples of agencies. There's an interview process going on about IELCE, and I just wanted to get support with that idea because I have heard it. I just didn't remember which agencies had shared it with me. So if you have that experience or know another agency that does, please let me know so I can find out the name of that person.
So one other thought on that, Lori, just before we go on, is that at first when we were combining the class together with the regular students and the ESL students, I was a little bit concerned that some of our students might, like not appreciate that they were in like a kind of like, I want to say a slower class or a class that really spent a lot of time on language. And I really think, like Alisa's saying, I think they really benefited from it. Nobody complained.
So your caregiver class has native speakers and English learners in it?
Yes, yes.
And that you're saying it was quote unquote slower because the ESL teacher was in the class explaining some of these things. It was a co-teaching experience.
Through the co-teaching, I think both teachers, even Jennifer, would recognize that some of the skills were a little bit more difficult for the second language learners. So she would repeat it more or do it in a different way and approach it. She adjusted her teaching a little bit based on the audience in the class.
But nobody complained, but the native speakers didn't complain. Good. That's what my experience. I was surprised to hear another aspect. So thanks.
And
okay, great.
They had to do a lot of pair work, so it was fine.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we have Alisa Takeuchi, who is from Garden Grove Adult School and has her own wonderful programs. And as part of that, she got certified in CTE. And so I was so, I know how hard it is sometimes to find a CTE teacher. So I wanted her to talk about the process of getting certified in case that would be an option for you or some of their staff members that would help you with your IELCE program. So Alisa, go ahead, and I'll stop sharing if you want to share some slides, and I've given you access to do that. And you're muted right now, so if you can unmute first.
Sorry, yeah, I don't have slides to share, but I
Okay,
do have
no
a couple
worries.
websites. Can you see the OCDE website?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so hi, everybody. I'm Alisa Takeuchi. I work for Garden Grove Adult Education, and I'm an ESL teacher, but I did want to just kind of share with you kind of my process of what happened in our situation at Garden Grove and what prompted me to go ahead and try to get a CTE certificate. So we were trying to do the IELCE for a while now, and one of the obstacles that came with us was that when we found a CTE teacher from the community college, a lot of times it was a time challenge, whether that teacher was only available at certain times or certain days. And that was fine. I mean, we took her when we could, but you know, in our thought process is that we really wanted to try to find teachers that could accommodate, different times of the day or more days of the week. And so I talked with my director about this, and I said, maybe I could try to get a CTE certificate, and I kind of did a little bit of research on it, and I had tried to get one a long time ago, and I didn't qualify at that time. And so I went back and I looked at it, and also because we were trying to, so we did have a couple of our teachers get a CTE credential that are ESL teachers as well, to do both. But the timing again is a little bit off, and they actually got help through the Santa Ana College, through our consortium community college. So I went and did my own research. And so I started with the OCDE. So, we're in Orange County. So if you're in a different county, you might want to check your Department of Education. And all I did literally was type in CTE, OCDE, in Google, and then it prompted me to this webpage. And so this is their homepage for the CTE credential. And it is a very, very user-friendly, it's very straightforward. And the people who actually work at the OCDE were extremely helpful. Anytime I had any question, they got back to me right away. I could call them, I could email them, and they were really helpful with this. And so I started with just getting the basic information. What would it take for me to get a CTE credential, and which CTE program would I want it in? And so I kind of went down here into the CTE industry sectors, and I tapped on that. And then these are all the CTE industries that are provided. And so they gave you all the different, so agriculture and natural resources, that was not something I knew I was not going to qualify for. So I kind of just kept going down the line. And education, child development, and family services, that's the one I had tried to do before because I was an elementary school teacher. I do have a multiple subject credential, and I thought maybe I could qualify. At the time, I did not. And so I kind of passed over that, and I kept looking and looking. And so then I just kind of kept thinking, which one would it be? And it would be information and communication technologies. And then this was all the information that I needed because we wanted to provide a business certification class, a business office certification class. This seemed like the best fit. And so I just went to see what were the qualifications, and I got all the information I could. And again, I just kind of checked to see, do I really qualify? And I emailed the OCDE, and I just asked them plain blank, this is kind of my situation. What do you think? And she said, you know what, go ahead, give me all the information that, that's required of you for the application, and we'll check. We'll check for you, and you will see if you qualify. It was really literally that easy. And so the whole process from me just doing some research to the time they said congratulations from the California teaching credential was about 3 weeks. It was really, really fast. And I was really surprised because I had kind of heard that they were, because of the pandemic, I heard that they were a little bit back ordered a little bit. They were a little bit busy, but it turned out that whoever was processing my work, my case, they did it very quickly. And so that was really nice. So I am now cleared. It's kind of like when you get your first teaching credential, you're cleared for 3 years. And then you have to do some requirements. And then after that, I pay the fee, and then I'm cleared for 5 years after that. So I thought that it was a really, it's a really good process, because one of our situations also, and this happens a lot in the high schools, is that you have these experienced career technical people. Maybe they're an engineer or they were a mechanic, but they don't have the teaching aspect of it. They don't really know how to teach. And so for us, I mean, to have a teacher that qualifies to be CTE is actually kind of a better fit, because we already know how to work into a classroom. So for me, I just got really lucky with that. And because I work for OTAN as well, I was able to use that, because you have to have X amount of hours of experience. And so because of my work with OTAN, then I was able to get my letter of approval from OTAN to say that I actually qualified. So again, if this is something that's, you're kind of like all of a sudden thinking about it, check out your own county's Department of Education, the CTE credentialing section, and just look and to see, what it is that they need, that you need to do to qualify, if this is something that could help your agency, because now I can do both the CTE section and the ESL support to do our IELCE. And so we're going to start that in the fall, and I'm really excited about that. So, it could be just another option, just another like thinking outside of the box to try to get, some of these IET, IELCE programs going.
And Alisa, what course are you going to be teaching in the fall?
It's a business technology. So it's called Business Office Technology, and it's a certification. And so these are industry certifications. And I know some other agencies are doing it. San Mateo and Poway. We've collaborated with them. We are using, a business, it's called ICEV. And so the students go through this course, and then they take a test. And if they pass the test, then they get the certification. And they have industry certifications there's another one that's very, very popular. It's like a customer service one, and that's built from Southwest. And so, actual industries that are out in the field are actually creating these courses so that they are matched with what they are expecting potential employees to have. And so if a student does take this particular class and gets this particular certificate, it's from a company called Express, and they have hundreds of offices, and one just happens to be up the street from our school. So they said that any student that gets a certification can actually walk into their office, show them their certificate, and they will help them find a job. And so, I mean, that's just, it's just so exciting that we can actually work directly with somebody in our community to get them trained, and then they can walk into some place and actually potentially get a job. So
that's so great. And so many of us have had past lives in other fields, and so maybe we could get certified in those areas and be a support to our students. That's great. And Portia, you absolutely. Just posted something. Did you want to share that?
That was mentioned in Dr. Zachary's meeting, that that was in the May revise, and then CCAE also just sent that out. So I don't know if it's official yet, but it's been proposed.
Great, thank you. And what, Carla, what's ECDF?
Oh, hi there.
Education, Child Development. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I was able, back when I was at Elk Grove, I was able to, the same situation. We couldn't find a CTE teacher, schedules, you name it. And we contacted our CDE specialist and asked if, could we follow this path? And he said, well, try it. So we did. We contacted the Los Angeles County Office of Education. We talked to them. And given the experience of teaching that I had, I was able to get my administrator to write the letter for me, provide all the background information. And I did not per se get a CTE credential, but I got the subject authorization added to my AE credential. So that helped us meet the needs of the IET, which was, godsend at the time.
That's great. Thank you, Carla. Well, so yes, that's why we wanted to hear from Alisa. Again, she has special background because of her work with OTAN, but I know many of you do have different backgrounds, and we just wanted to present this to you and let you know what's possible. And the 3 weeks is amazing.
Yeah, I know, incredible. And I just wanted to point out one thing real fast is that as I did my application, the woman who was processing my paperwork at OCD, she said, hey, I noticed, because I have to send in my transcripts. She said, I looked at your transcripts and stuff, and you know what? You actually qualified for the early childhood education and family services credential as well. Do you want me to add that onto there? And I said, yes, please. I don't know what the future will hold for Garden Grove, but if at any time we do decide to branch out and maybe do an early childhood education core, pathway, then I would be qualified to do that one as well. So I think right now that, because, the whole situation with teachers in general, I think they're really trying hard to get a big number of CTE teachers involved, because it's so dynamic in the processes that we're going through right now.
And maybe the education background we have qualifies for us for that. Maybe we don't know that, but as you said,
right.
She offered you that one as well. I knew there was a second one and I hadn't remembered that. So yeah, if you're interested in doing that, and I know people are, so I'm so excited to hear that. And thank you so much, Alisa, for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
That's really great. Really great. Appreciate it. But so just to say thank you for attending our meeting. Our next meeting will be June 29th. Really appreciate having you here. And if you would like to give a presentation at the June 29th meeting, we'd love to see you there. Thank you for participating. Hope to see you at Summer Institute. And hope you have a lovely holiday weekend. We all deserve it. It's the beginning of summer. Yay. So hope you enjoy. Take care. We'll see you next month.